things going otherwise?
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank y'all for joining the live stream today. We've got a panel. We're going to wait for a few more people to get on here. Shout out to the NTZ crew. That's Michael Beach of Life. I sent you the link, Michael. I didn't know if you wanted to come on or not. There's Jacob Tanjay. Thank y'all, man. We got a new member. Welcome to the fourth quarter. The bits, though. Thank you for your support. I really appreciate it. What's up, Jeff Retired? No, you having fun. Are you in Angeles yet? What's up, Sheldon? Roger? All my old heads. Hey, Raymond, you're supposed to be on here, man. What, did you chicken out? He said, good morning, everyone. Hope you're safe. What's up, Philly boy? Hey, if anybody wants to join the panel, we're just going to have a few people on here. We're just going to talk about the struggles men face while living overseas. Any new viewers and subscribers, welcome. Anybody catching this on replay? The peso is 58.85. I want to welcome Paul K to the live stream. Y'all met Paul before. I interviewed him at the meet and greet in Siquijor. What's up, Paul?
Hey, Calvin. Good. Doing good.
How long you been back this time, man? When'd you get back here?
November. I go every 6 months, for 2 weeks to a month or so.
And come back?
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you have to?
Now I just visit the U.S.
Yeah. Do you get any? Do you have to get the exit clearance, or you leave before your 6 months?
Just before it.
Yeah, because I've got to head to Bacolod in the morning to get my exit clearance for Vietnam. It's really a pain in the butt, but I understand why it's necessary. What's up, Sam? It says you're. Maybe that's you. I don't hear the. Okay, they're saying you echoing, Paul. But
Okay.
What I can do is.
Did I turn down my volume?
No. What I'll do is, when you're talking, I'll mute. Hey, what's up, Raymond? What's up, Raymond? Yeah, we can't hear you, man. Go into the settings and fix your audio. He said, shout out to the gentleman. That double echo is a mother. Yeah, I'll check back later. Yeah, what's going to happen, guys, right before y'all speak, I'm going to mute myself. Cisco said that helps, and it did help the last time. But I do want to say something real quick. We could talk a little bit about the video I made about my friend who was robbed and then blackmailed, because it's crazy, Paul, but the video I did about the struggles that men face overseas got far less views than the video I made about him being robbed. And I think it's because men think they know this stuff. They don't need it. But it's really more important than hearing about somebody's bad luck. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think we have to be armed with the information, but most of all, we just got to come here and be slow and careful, because there's a lot of traps. There's a lot of traps you don't even know about until you hit the ground running. So, just be careful, I mean, it's like you and I talked, having some streetwise helps a lot, but just don't lose yourself just because of the P.
Yeah, that's a fact. Now, can you say something, Raymond? See if you See if we can hear you. No, you go into your settings, Raymond. But you said a handful, Paul, but that's the problem. For some reason, when we see the woman, they forget everything that Sunshine Shoulder said. See, this guy he's a follower, man. I mean, he watches all my videos. And then, because people was like, well, how did they get into his PayPal and all that? The people, they're so meddlesome. They don't listen to the story. They always trying to pick it apart. Okay, the woman got in there, without giving up all his information and everything. She got into his PayPal and they took $13,000. They transferred it from his bank to her. Okay, she knew how to do it, so it was a scam, guys. Don't justify this stuff.
No,
What's up, Confident Voice Speaks? Appreciate your support. Okay, let's see. But, okay, he says, Bag of Doritos says, if I got robbed in the Philippines, I don't think I'd visit again. Okay, let me say this and then I'm going to pass it to you, Paul. That is a rare occasion. Okay, most guys who come over here, they get what they came for. They have a good time and then they go back home. We're not painting every woman on those dating sites with a brush, guys. We're saying this is what happened to him, and it's because he did everything wrong. He's rushing, thinking with the wrong head. He admitted that and got caught up. What you got to say, Paul?
Well, there was at least 6 red flags there, and most of all, I tell everybody don't do anything. Just be friends until your boots on the ground, and then still you don't know her. So take your time, and if you're coming over for fun, then just have fun. Do the pay for play. I mean, I'm sorry, but don't jump into a relationship. Get your stuff and your ducks in order first. And you're coming to a foreign country. That's scary enough as it is. Try to have fun. Just enjoy the scenery, enjoy the people, enjoy the food. Don't worry about the pee. That comes, trust me. You'll walk down the street and it'll come to you. My God. Don't get trapped, by some woman right off the plane. My God.
Yeah. But the biggest red flag was when she bought her mother and wanted the mother to spend the whole vacation with him. That's the biggest red flag, guys. That should have let him know, hey, this woman's not into me. Has that ever happened to you, Paul?
No. I mean, my first date with my current girlfriend, her dad was actually the chaperone. But after he sat at a separate table, and after a few hours, he knew she was good, I was good, and poof, he disappeared. And I took her home. Then I'd later meet the family, et cetera, et cetera. So it was very traditional. But most dates don't go like that. They're just like a regular date here. I mean, women are women wherever you're at, but guys come over here and they lose themselves.
Yeah, you're right. Hey, I'm Mendoza. Thanks for that super chat. He said, what's up, Unc? I'm going to Cebu in April. Planning on going to the Palawan and Surigao. I'm 23 and Latino. I met a Filipino online. She's valid. Never see any videos for us younger guys for tips and etc. Well, this is 18 to 80, Mendoza. It doesn't matter what age you are. Okay? All the rules apply to us all over here. It's when you start thinking, oh, because I'm 23 and I'm young, that this doesn't apply to me. That's when you find yourself in trouble. Okay? 18 to 80, blind, crippled, or crazy. Whenever you see me talking about something, I'm not talking to these older guys. I'm talking to all men. What we're going to talk about today, what men struggle with, a 23-year-old would struggle with. So no, there's no separate. People will convince you of that. Oh, that there's separate rules for a 23-year-old than a 63-year-old. That's bullshit. Okay? what you're gonna get as a 23-year-old, me as a 63-year-old will get. Okay, that's the bottom line right there. So I am talking to you on my videos. No one's exempt from this stuff over here. But let's get back to her bringing. That's different with you, Paul. That's culture. When they bring along a chaperone, I'm talking about this mother stayed with them the whole time. He had to rent a different type of Airbnb because she's with him. So it had to be like a 2-bedroom or 1-bedroom. Extra money. Okay. That was
like you're bringing friends. No.
That's worse than friends.
Yeah, mom would have to be really hot and we'd have to be doing some penthouse letter kind of thing.
Can you hear me now?
I don't understand where his mentality was. The first night, okay, I see it. They're coming from a different island. Okay, they come in, he's paying for everything. But after that first night, I've never met a woman over here, and the mother or anybody. I mean, when I met my son's mother, her friends came with her, but once they saw she was okay, we just got off at the hotel and I paid the taxi to take them back home. It wasn't no 24-hour, 7-day-a-week chaperone.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, you're paying for mom's vacation.
I mean, that was just a sign that she wasn't interested. And this is what I was saying on the video. Look, you got to come to an understanding with the woman that you plan to meet at that airport. That's just the bottom line. Okay, you're going through all the trouble to come over here, guys. Don't be playing no games with me. I mean, if you want to, if your religion and your culture says, hey, you're not going to be with me and you can't go around on vacation with me, then tell me. But he had already been sending money to the girl and her family, paying medical bills and all kinds of stuff. Okay. He probably thought, okay, it's official. But now you got to hear it from her mouth.
Can you guys hear me now?
Said he lost when he bought the mother a ticket as well. Yeah, she went everywhere with him. So now, remember, it's expensive when you deal with women over here because now you got to pay two. When you go to dinner, you buy 2 dinners. Now you're buying 3. You're buying 3 ferry rides, 3 plane tickets, 3 bus tickets, and then you're getting no intimacy, no nothing. And then I told him, this is whether it's a mother, whether it's a friend, or anything. They're talking about you. They're plotting, and you don't even know it. Don't ever bring two. We're going to Vietnam in a few weeks. Marilyn said, hey, can my friend come, blah, blah, blah. No, absolutely not. Why would you want, she said the friend asked, could she come along with us? Absolutely not. What do you say about that, Paul?
No, you don't want a third person unless they're going to pay for their own and stay on their own, make their own accommodations. I mean, that's how I came to the Philippines. It was my best friend from the States. I came along as a third wheel, but, we were here for a month and he told me, hey, you can stay 3 days at our house, then you got to go. So I went to explore the islands. I mean, that's what you want to do. You don't want to be tied down to one particular woman. You don't want her to meet you at the airport. You don't want to send money to someone you've never met. I mean, if you do want to send money to someone you ever met, then just call me, Christine, and I'll give you my Gcash or something here, so you can send me some money. I mean, my goodness. It amazes me. As I always say to you, I'd rather watch the story than be the story.
You got no You got no friends on YouTube, okay? Remember, you're gonna be the story if you come over here and mess up. Now he says, old Mary guy says, scratch my head, tricks of getting roasted. But this guy is from the hood. Something happens when you make your first trip to the Philippines. He let his guard down. You know, I don't care who you are. This is a different ball game over here. And this is why so many guys end up in a jackpot situation. They think, oh, I'm street smart. I can handle it over there. Until you can handle it over there. Let me add Ray again. What's up, Ray? Can you hear? No. Go into your settings. It's this settings. Go into your settings. And then hit audio. Go to default audio.
Should be at the bottom.
It says, don't resist or fight. 500 pesos is worth the altercation. I don't know what he's talking about.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Turn it up. Turn your volume up.
Okay. There you go.
Well, we can hardly hear you.
Let me take off my take off my earbuds.
Okay. He said, what's up with the bro to the left? Okay, he was trying to get his system
Can you hear me?
taken care of.
Yeah, that's a great point. They're more savvy when it comes to social media here, and they're like, jokingly a CIA member. They got us figured out, and we're still limping along here. It's they're very crafty, so we got to be careful.
Yeah, I feel bad.
Exactly right.
For your friend.
You're exactly right, because he seems to think from the area that they were from that they're scammers. Okay, like these Eastern gypsies that be going around scamming people. He seems to think that even with the clothing and everything, the mother, he said maybe the mom orchestrated everything from the jump. Absolutely, they came to scam him. There was no ifs, ands, and buts about it. But now that you're here, Raymond, introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Raymond. I'm from the United States. I'm living here in the Philippines, in Manila.
How long you been here, Raymond?
Since May of last year.
Okay, we're gonna get to the subject a little bit because, like I said, guys, we can talk about anything y'all want to talk about, but I don't want to waste y'all's time. But they got the number one thing on here is cultural adjustment. People think that they know the culture over here, and the culture is no big deal. I'm gonna tell you how little we know the culture. Okay, name one custom or tradition over here, Paul, that you're familiar with, that you learned since you got here.
Well, the blessing right off the get-go, where the child or the younger person will bless the older person as a sign of respect. That was something I never saw before until I came to the Philippines.
What's that called? What's that called?
I'd have to look it up.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it's called either, but that's the first thing I learned.
Okay. Now, I don't know if you've ever been to church with your lady, but because both of y'all got girlfriends, but when I see the different color candles for the different type of blessing that they want, and then they burn the candles on the fire pit. See, I never seen that before at the Catholic Church. Not that I'll go to Catholic Church, but I've been when I brought my Filipino wife over to America. They don't do that over there, but I seen that. It kind of amazed me. What about you, Raymond?
No, I haven't. I've been to a Catholic ceremony here, but I've never seen that part where they burn it.
No, I mean, name one tradition or custom that you've learned about since you've been here.
like this gentleman just said, the reading or blessing. Um, and you talked about in your video, most Filipinos prefer their own language. English. Example, my girlfriend's an English professor, right? It's perfect English. She prefers her own language, Tagalog. When she used to start speaking English with me in the beginning, but now that I know Tagalog, she speaks Tagalog. Only Peach's brother-in-law is the only one who doesn't speak Tagalog. He's been here 25, 26 years. But yeah, now she's just speaking Tagalog.
Yeah, you're kind of getting ahead of us. We're just talking about a custom or tradition because we know so little about it, guys. This is the problem that you're going to run into if you run into any problem. Because here, the Filipinos, they welcome you here. You're welcome here, but you're going to have a culture clash. Stuff is going to frustrate you over here because it's so different from where you come from. Like, for instance, they'll say, oh, you got to have patience because you're going to wait in long lines. Okay, that's just custom over here. They're going to sit there and count your money two or three times at the cashier. You know what I'm saying? And then, say for instance, you go to a ferry, you pay your fare, and then you got to go to another building to pay your terminal fee, and then they check both of them when you get on the boat. All of that is custom, guys.
In a government issue, any government thing you're going to deal with, you're going to have patience. Now, I'm PWD, so they're more accommodating when it comes to stuff like that. That's, but yeah, you're going to have to have patience. I know most Filipinos, when it comes to paying bills, they like to procrastinate. I don't put up with that, but I don't have that problem with my woman. She's on it. But yeah, you got to have patience when you're doing any kind of, I don't care what it is, any kind of government bureaucracy, you got to have patience. This is their country. You can't come here acting a fool, which I've seen that before from a foreigner. You just can't do that.
Well, they also don't like confrontation.
Right. That's about saving face. It's little stuff that you have to watch out for over here. In America, we'll argue. You may not want to argue with people over here because they may take it wrong, and then, hell, here comes a two-man tandem. See, that's culture. That two-man tandem is culture. It's the little things over here that can get you killed or get you hurt.
And it doesn't count.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm going to read this by Dirty Puppy. You Dirty Puppy. What's up? He says, if your new Filipino requests a companion or escort, I understand. I have found the best escort or trusted friend is a gay friend who she trusts. Yeah, we're okay with that. That's probably culture, you Dirty Puppy, but I'm not taking them on vacation with me for 2 weeks. That's what we're talking about. That's the red flag. It's not the family showing up at the airport. It's them staying with you for the whole time you're here. There's no intimacy. There's nothing. And then you're the only one there. You don't understand Tagalog. You don't understand Bisaya. They're talking about you. Okay? Right there in your face. You don't know it.
When my girlfriend picked me in the car, it's not a discussion to bring her. You meet the woman later. I mean, that should have been a red flag from your friend from the beginning. If the woman's hanging around in the hotel room, I'm about it, but I'm shocked he had face ID on. I don't know how people use that.
Yeah, now, you said something, Raymond, that made a lot of sense. Procrastination. They procrastinate over here about doing anything. They call it Filipino time, and that's culture. It's just something that when you see guys go home, It's a culture, man. It's a culture thing. It's not this other stuff we're going to talk about. It's culture. When you over here and you frustrated, just remember that's what it is. It's culture, man. You're coming into a whole different country that does things totally different. Some of it's opposite of what you're used to. It's going to take a time, man. If ever, you know, I'm still learning and adjusting and all of that. Okay. He says, I wouldn't feel comfortable in the situation you're describing, Cap. I wouldn't either. If the mother shows up and wants to stay with us for 2 weeks, come on, man. The first night, I'm like, it's over. That's why I suggest you meet 2 or 3 women. Am I being wrong for that? No, because they're talking to 2 or 3 men, guys. This is what you got to understand. Stop with the bullshit over there. You're not in America. They want to make sure somebody's coming over here. They don't know which one it is. Is it going to be Paul? Is it going to be Raymond? Is it going to be Calvin? They don't know, so they're going to talk to all of you. They're going to increase their odds. We're not doing that. We put all our eggs in one basket, and you end up paying a cost for that.
Now,
okay?
What you said before in your blog, you say now, why are you giving women money before you come over here? You haven't been here. I saw on one of your videos in the past. I don't know much about those dating sites because I never used them. But you should be here from your video. You said you should be here boots on the ground, and then if you want to try that, then you go ahead. But you got to vet the woman before you, over a long period of time, before you can start giving money. No, that's why. They can't scam you if you don't give them anything. If you don't give them money, if you don't have Face ID on your phone, which don't use that, guys. Use the code. Never use Face ID. That's never use that. Don't worry about trying to show off. Turn that crap off. You know,
these women don't have money and they don't have a lot of skills, but they do have a lot of social skills and they learn from each other. So they can wrap us around it so fast, we don't even have an idea or a clue that's going on. And they're reaching into our pockets because they're being so sly and quiet about it. And we're just wanting to be that hero, that white knight, and rush in and help and save them from the situation. But you just got to remember, they survived before you. They will survive after you. You're just best if you leave them in a better situation. But don't give them money. The most powerful thing you can do is say no.
Exactly. Yeah, that's good information. Now, saying no in the beginning is easy, but after you develop a relationship, it gets harder and harder. And saying no to, just crazy requests is easy too. You know what I'm saying? But to Raymond's point, he says, why do you do that? Because we're in a hurry for some reason. Paul and you can bear witness to this. You both live here. Everything is slow over here. It's methodical. But yet they speed you up. They want you to hurry up for some reason. That's going against the grain over here, guys. Everything is slow and methodical. But she wants you to make the decision. Are you going to marry me? Are you going to get the visa? Come on, let me move in. And we fall right into that because the guy said he was thinking with a small head, we got hot pants. And that's the worst thing to have over here is hot pants. I did it. That's why I'm telling you, don't do it. Try to have some kind of control. I mean, some type of self-control because, okay, like, Paul was talking about the pee, right? The pussy. I'm going to say the pussy because they'll think we're talking about Filipino pee. We're not talking about you, Filipino pee. A 22-year-old woman and her pussy is a whole lot more persuasive and a whole lot more influential than I am. You're not going to listen to me once she's waiting for you at that airport. Okay? I'm sorry, that's just how it works, and that's why guys get in trouble. This guy's probably watched every video I made. However long he been watching me, but he didn't think of none of the stuff until he already got, robbed.
And he didn't walk off with his passport, his papers and everything, his computer. I mean, some of these women, especially when they work together, two of them, they'll clean you out, and then you're stranded on the street trying to go to the embassy just to survive.
That's true. Okay, now Juice says if the mother looked halfway decent, which she didn't. I got a picture on my phone. She just looked like the typical 50-something-year-old Filipino woman, a woman, period. Okay? He said, I would have flipped the script and seduced the mother to agree to send the daughter home and spent the week with mom out of spite. Now, they already knew what they were going to do to him. You know, the guy says that gent showed all his cards. They identified him as a mark the instant that he sent the money. Yeah, medical bills and stuff. Like, listen, guys, I'm going to tell you something. Paul said, he said, they were getting along well before they met you. They're going to get along well without you, but they play on our sympathy. What makes you think you're responsible for some woman that you're just chatting with online, her medical bills? I don't care how bad it looks. Okay? I don't care how bad the situation looks to you. You have no, you have no obligation to do that now.
I never had that issue with my woman, but if she would have said, one thing I asked her she told me she has no interest in going to America, never. But if she would have turned around and said, hey, I need money for this, for my medical bill. I mean, how many times have you said that, Cal? How many times on your videos have you said that? No, if they ask for money, most will not. But if they start asking for money, run. Kick it to the curb, see you later, bye. No. That'd be like, no, I wouldn't have that. Now, her mom now, since we've been together for a while, you know the mom, which also you want to know about the woman, kind of meet the mom a little bit. They'll kind of show you who it is. But if her mom was in trouble and she needed money, okay, for medical, I'm still going to want to know what it is. It's her mom. Okay, what does she need the money for? Now, she doesn't need money because they're pretty much well off than most Filipinos, but I would help the mom. But I need the money. I need to know what it's for. Peach brings me all receipts and everything else. And guys, get a cinema over here and get a medical test. Get a medical test. That's what she gave me. Most good women will give that to you without you having to ask. Get that medical test done. Get the cinema done. No, get that done. I mean, that's just me before I start, dipping in anything over here, with AIDS skyrocketing over here. Nah.
That's good. That's good information. But the typical woman does not give you her medical. They don't go to the doctor. They can't afford it. The typical woman does not give you her medical. She's not going to go out there and get no medical checkup and all that stuff. Now, I know a guy, every woman he meets, he pays for it before he even gets here. He sends it. If they want to keep the money, that's fine. They let him know, I don't need to deal with you anyway. But every single woman that he meets on that dating site, he sends her the money and sends her to the doctor. And then she sends him the results. He showed me plenty of them. That's when I said, hold on, guys, don't do that, man. There's something called, some things are private. I don't want to, that's too much information. The less I know, the better off I am. Don't show me other people's medical certificates and stuff, but that's what he does. And he's like, he's the exception. These guys aren't doing that. I didn't do it. You're taking a big chance, though. Hey, I'm Mendoza. Thanks for that super chat. He said, so what's up then, instead of meeting online to have some little shit waiting for me when I get there, should I just wait till I'm boots on the ground? Well, see, you can, the good women, here's the truth. Now, Raymond is different. Raymond met his girlfriend overseas when he was working for a private contractor. She was the OFW. But the majority of us, I already told y'all, Raymond's part of the 2%. 98% of us meet them online. There's good women on there. You just got to know what you're doing. There's levels to this. There's a procedure. Look, Mendoza, when you get on that dating site, you're going to get inundated with these messages and hellos and all that, right? Don't fool with that. All that's are scammers and bots and all that stuff. You get into that dating site and you work them filters. If you in Cebu, you're going to say, okay, I want 50 kilometer radius of Cebu. And then if you're 23, you're going to say, I want from 18 to 25 women, with or without children. Doesn't religion matter, whatever. And then you activate those filters. Once that comes across, then you choose 10 just regular looking women. Stay away from the 15s and the women in bikinis and all that stuff. Just get you 10 regular looking Filipinos and you contact those 10 and you wait for a response for them. Other than that, I can't guarantee you anything, but I can guarantee you this. 98% of the women that we meet over here, we meet them online. Okay, it's hard, and Paul can bear witness to this. Certainly, he lives in Dumaguete. It's hard to meet these women in public because they're so damn shy. What do you say, Paul?
Oh, yeah. I think that you should actually come over here and have a couple of friends in different cities, and then you travel around because you want to figure out where you want to live first, because where you live or where she lives is where you will end up. So, I had a lady friend in Cebu. I had a lady friend in Dumaguete. I ended up with the one in Dumaguete, a widow, from an upper class family, a working girl, a career girl, because there's some hotsy-totsies, but, again, what kind of drama do you want to deal with? I came over here for peace and quiet. I didn't come over here to deal with drama. I didn't come over here to get my bank account drained. I came over here for peace and quiet. The P was just frosting on the cake. So, have your boundaries and have your standards. And, also, make her fully aware and just be honest, straight up. I mean, I'll give you an idea. I was watching a guy who came in this last year down the street from my girlfriend, and he rented this big, outrageous house, pays 3 times as much as me. Hired a young girl from around the corner, the next block over, to be his maid, 22 years old. Now, because, the average here is 26. Gets the young maid. Within 3 months, that young girl is pregnant. So now she's got the baby, and he's talking about going back to the U.S. Now, he came here supposedly at the age of 65 to retire. So now what? He's supporting her family around the corner, the new baby, and they're thinking about going to the U.S.
Yeah, now, you hitting on something totally different now that I talk about all the time. When we unretire, when we do stuff like that, like what I did. But I was asking you about meeting women on the street here, how difficult that is. And people say, oh, it's not difficult. It really is under most circumstances.
The women that
Filipinos, men or women, man, they have to get familiarized with you first. If you're only over here for 2 weeks, they're not going to know you well enough. Yeah, probably your last 2 or 3 days. Then you can ask her, hey, let's go out to dinner or whatever. Okay. Like me, I've been in St. Carl City for 7 years. I went on my walk today. So many women just say, hey, Calvin, how you doing? Hey, Sunshine Shows, right? That if I was single, I'd just say, hey, you want to go out? They know me now. But coming over here for 2 weeks or something like that, it's not enough time. But hey, you dirty puppy, thanks for that super chat. He said, great content, Cal. It's good to see other expats' viewpoint of Filipinos different than mine. I asked a couple of more guys. These 2 showed up, and I'm glad they did because they both knowledgeable. They both honest. And they're not going to sugarcoat anything. Let's get to the next one. Oh, wait. Let me answer this real quick. And then I'll get to the next one. He said, so go first, then look online. Don't look online when in the U.S. You can look online in the U.S., but here's what I'm going to tell you. It's like going to the mall broke and you don't have any money. You can't buy anything. Why are you going online dealing with these women if you can't be in the Philippines and actually talk to them and, you know, take them out on real dates? And remember, if you can't taste, touch, and smell it, it's not real. I would say if you're going to do it online, wait till 2 weeks out. That's the most. I really say 1 week before you get here. That's all the time you need online. They've already told you guys when they're on those dating sites that they want you. They want you to come over here. There isn't going to be any BS. Okay, we've decided the unspoken agreement is legitimate. Okay, we're going to sign on the dotted line. They're going to meet you at the airport. You're going to do something on the first night and all of that. I'm not saying that. It's just what it is. Don't get mad at me. Okay?
Better off window shopping. Yeah, and
what window shop?
When you get here, you know, and then be discerning, you know. I mean, my God, think about you going out to buy a car. You're gonna look at how many cars before you buy one. And you want to even take it out for a test drive. You want to see what kind of things are right with it or wrong with it. It's the same thing. Have a little bit more, take your time. There's no rush.
Now, this is excellent because you don't understand, Q. I was getting ready to make a video and I said, nah, it's okay. I'd be overdoing it. Where I was going to say, man, I feel bad. I feel partially responsible for what happened to him. But at the same time, these are grown men. He says, why didn't you send him your red and green flags video before he ventured off for his first trip? Okay, here's the thing, though. He's watched every video of mine. When they get over here, they forget all of that stuff. Remember, I just told you. When they see the woman at the airport, she's 22. I don't have anything. I can't compete with a 22-year-old woman. Okay? And he's already made up in his mind, hey, this is the one. And they come over here and they try to hide. And they try to be sneaky. He said, do you think vloggers are partially to blame for not putting out the truth more? We put out the truth. We put our truth out. Just like the guy said, hey, Cal, I know it's your friend. You feel sorry for him. But at the end of the day, it's his fault. See, here's the thing, Q, because you're hitting on a lot with this comment. As a vlogger, when I talk about certain things, I'm talking about it from my viewpoint because I'm able to move over here and navigate over here. And I just take for granted that everybody can do it because you can't choose your audience. So you're going to put all that information out there to everybody. And everybody's not going to, take it the same way. You understand what I'm saying? They're going to think, okay, I can come over here and do the same thing Calvin did. And most men can do that. But there's going to be guys like him who can't. Okay? But yeah, this is a great there's
an adjustment period. Why people get in a hurry? It's going to take time. You always got to keep learning. Keep your head on the swivel. I can't hear you. You must be on mute.
No, I'm saying don't talk into your hands. We can't hardly hear you to begin with. Okay. Now, I don't agree with him. Okay. He says, stop listening to the vloggers. Your experience will most likely be different. Now, that part I agree. But when you come into a whole different country, most guys, they're not just going to get on the plane, Willie Thompson, and come over here. Most guys aren't going to do it. For most guys, we're the crutch, Willie, whether you want to believe it or not. Just like I said on the video about the struggles that men have, at some point you're going to understand that vloggers know what they're talking about. Certainly when it comes to these relationships and meeting these women. Okay, everybody's not on here just throwing out stuff out there. I'm telling you what I'm seeing, living, and experiencing. Okay, but to say don't listen to the vloggers, why are you on here then? Why are you following us then? That's bullshit what you're saying. I'm saying, okay, he says your experience will most likely be different, which is going to be true. It's going to be different.
I would just say, be careful what bloggers you're listening to. That's what I would say. Just be careful which ones you listen to. You're going to listen to quality blogs. What I did, Cal, before, and I did this to Rich, I just watched quietly for a while to figure out what you was about. Before I even subscribed, before I even became a member. Just be careful who you're listening to. Because not all bloggers are the same.
Sorry, guys. I keep forgetting to mute and mute back. Hey, Rich, come on here. I like to get your viewpoint, but let's go to the language because you brought this up, Raymond. There is a language barrier over here, guys. Don't come over here. See, this is where Willie Thompson, he doesn't realize that this is why vloggers are important. Because y'all think that, oh, it's not going to be a language barrier. Filipinos speak English. Yeah, they can. But they'll only speak it to be hospitable to you. People in my house, they don't speak English. Unless they're talking to me. They're speaking Bisaya. There's going to be a language when you beefing with somebody out there, they hit that switch, they understand you, you don't understand nothing they saying. They already rounding up the guys to kick your ass. Or tell them to bring the gun so I can blow this fool's brains out. Who's he think he is talking to me like that in front of my wife? See, yeah, there's a language barrier over here. Merlin's mother in there, I love her to death. I'd do anything for Lola. But she don't understand nothing I'm saying. I thought she did for about 5.5 years. Until I realized she don't understand nothing I'm saying. Why would she though? Okay? What about you, Raymond? What's your experience with that?
When I first got here, yeah, there's listen, guys, they're not entitled to speak English over here. I don't know why people go anywhere and expect people to speak English. You know, that's a big, barrier over here. There's an adjustment period over here. I mean, just before I really became comfortable with Peach's mother and learn the language, that's the same thing. I'm sitting there and they just going on and on. It's the same way with Peach's brother-in-law. He can't speak the language even though he's been here for a while. Now when we sit around and speak the language, he's like, he don't know, but we have to, his wife has it, Peach's sister has to tell him, you got to be careful around here who you're dealing with. I mean, like you said, Cal, they could be speaking their language, wanting to hurt you. That's why when I go a lot of places, I don't let them know I know the language. I just listen because I can't guarantee, you can't guarantee your woman's going to be with you 24 hours, 24/7,
We're gonna talk about how to, overcome these difficulties. One of them is learn a language, the basics of the language. But it makes a lot of good sense right here what he says. He says it's definitely a language barrier. He said most Filipinos do not understand context. They might know the definition of the word, but they don't know the context. And we certainly don't know Chavacano, Ilonggo, Tagalog, Bisaya, and all the other 70, 80, 200 dialects over here. Guys, when you get in that tricycle, more than likely he's not going to be able to speak English, or in the jeepney. And when you do speak over here, look at them in the face. Maybe they can read your lips because they tell me I'm slang. They can't understand me um, you know, they don't understand my English, and it really hurts my feelings. I'm insulted when they tell me that.
You can't be. My girlfriend reminds me all the time. She says, "You got to remember, this is my second language to speak to you, so I can't always translate it." Now, her mom is an English teacher, so she corrected me a couple of times. So I had to learn that I couldn't talk good old boyism or slang because it totally gets lost on them, just like sarcasm. And then there's a lot of things that they say that doesn't get translated. So, you know, it's like that going to church. I went to church with her almost every single holiday. Recently, they even just had days of a fiesta. And I asked for her to translate it. You know, everything is a little different. Not much, but a little. You know, even the Our Father. So, you know, we have to have sort of understanding. You know, if we have a translator, that's great. But, you know, don't put yourself in a situation that you don't have a way out and you're in a group of people that you don't understand what's going on. You're just in trouble then. So,
Yeah, especially when you're in the province. That's been my experience. When you're going out in those provinces, good luck finding somebody that's going to speak English. Because everywhere I've traveled to in the province, yeah, that's not happening. They're not going to speak English to you. That's been my experience. Very few people out in the province don't speak English.
even if they speak a little bit English, my girlfriend's father, he tries to have a conversation, but he gets embarrassed. So he doesn't want to be embarrassed and lose face. So he'll play along. So we just talk in short abbreviations so that we can have a surface level conversation even.
Yeah, welcome to the chat, Richie Rich. Thanks for joining us. Now, you know, of course, Kane, to us, she speaks great English, but you with her most every day. Is there still a language barrier there as far as context and everything?
Absolutely. I mean, we have our struggles. She's pretty articulate overall, but sometimes she has problems with verb tenses, using present tense versus past tense. So sometimes it kind of could, it might misconstrue what she's really trying to say. But overall, I think she's really articulate. But we still struggle because she hears, like someone else said, it's still their second language. It's still her second language. So I think it's important for us to remember that they're always speaking a second language when they're communicating with us.
Absolutely. That's why they say it's a language barrier over here. But most guys come over here and they say, "Oh, I chose the Philippines because of the, English language." Yeah, it does
Right.
make it easier. The signs are in English.
Right.
You're not going to get lost over here. It's hard to get lost over here, but there is a language barrier. Okay. Number 3 was isolation and loneliness. Okay, Richie Rich, because you don't have kids over here. You don't have family over here.
No.
Do you ever struggle with that? Let's be honest, guys.
I don't. But I'm a different dude. Because Cal, I work all the time. And Raymond, I have conversations with you. I'm always working. So I don't have time to be lonely. And the free time I have, I spend with Ching, or we're making some videos, or we're traveling or doing stuff. So and I actually kind of prefer, I'm not an introvert, I'm an introvert. I got the social skills, but I still prefer to kind of spend time to myself, and I like being in the gym. So I don't, but I do know that there's a lot of dudes who struggle with that. Absolutely. So I recognize them. I'd be just kind of a little different dude.
Yeah, so you're saying stay busy because
I'm always busy.
believe it or not, guys, as much as people come to visit me and I go different places, sometimes I do get lonely. Sometimes, I need somebody to talk to. I go to the gym, I do all that, but it doesn't feel that void of sitting down and having like when Paul, whenever I go to Dumagetti, me and him always hook up and we'll go out to dinner. See, there's nothing that can replace that. You know, that
Let me ask you a question. If you were in Manila or Cebu, if that's where you lived, do you think you would ever have a chance to be lonely? You'd never have a chance to, because you have subscribers, you have, so it's a little different because you're in San Carlos City. But here in Manila, there's always subscribers, there's always events and stuff for us to get into. So there's no time to be lonely.
Yeah, and you make a good you make a good point. It depends on where you live, because, you know, we all don't live in Manila. Most expats live in Manila and Metro Manila, though, and the big cities. You know, if you are struggling with isolation and loneliness and you live in one of these expat cities, then shame on you. It's really your fault, because there's plenty of people that you can meet. But I'm in San Carlos City. It's a different story. I got a few people that we have breakfast with and everything. But, you know, what I've noticed is a lot of guys, when they come over here, they got their woman up underneath them. Are they underneath their woman? They can't break away.
Right.
You know.
It takes a while to get, you know, friendships and even acquaintances going. I mean, it's like some guys totally get into that. I mean, it's like, I call it the all in. My next door neighbor, he's from North Carolina. He's all in with his girlfriend. So, you know, he had to slowly get into doing, you know, the gym and going out to restaurants, because otherwise he's just with her 99.9% of the time. I get it. You know, there's some advantages there, but there's also some drawbacks.
Right.
That's why I think
think
these meetings that you have are important, you know, Cal and Rich. I mean, Peach didn't understand that at first, because she's like, you got friends, you're Filipinos, you can speak Tagalog. But like I had to tell in the beginning, that ain't the same. That's not the same. When you're getting together, it's not. And she didn't understand that at first, but now that she's been to a few meet and greets, like she told me like 2 days ago, I get it, you know. She gets it. She was saying, when you're going with the guys again, when's your next meet and greet? She understands now, but at the beginning, she didn't understand. I just had to break it down to her. It's not the same. I'm still, even though I can speak the language, it's still me over here. Got no family. My family's passed away. I got nobody over here. There's nothing like camaraderie with your own people.
Let me ask you, Richie Rich. Now, you've been living abroad for how many years?
Since 2013.
So, but when you first moved abroad, did you have any problems with? Because see, that's how I should be talking to you, because you're a veteran. Instead of saying, do you deal with it now? I'm saying, you know, because guys are going to come over here and they're going to face that issue of isolation and loneliness, certainly because they don't have any new relationships. They haven't forged any new relationships yet. And it kind of goes into the... Yeah.
I was in China and I didn't speak Chinese. You know, for the first couple of years, I didn't speak any Chinese. So it was tough. I got homesick. I remember maybe my third month in, man, I got homesick, bro. And maybe the 6th month, the 9th month. After that, I was okay. But you definitely get a little lonely because you don't have your own people. Nobody give a damn about the Super Bowl over here. Nobody give a damn about football or college football or whatever. But you got to be around. You got to have your own people too.
Yeah. See, this is where I'm trying to get to, because it's okay that you feel that way, because people think they're going to come over here and have it all together. That takes a lot of years. Like you said, you've been abroad since 2013, me 2009. It's a whole lot better now, but in the beginning, man, it's a struggle with a lot of this stuff. Like, okay, the next one, they're talking about the stress of living in a new country can make mental health problems such as anxiety and depression worse. Is anybody on the panel gotten stressed out? Like he said, man, I got to thinking about I was homesick and...
Well, recently, I'll give you a particular example, but I got back from the U.S. and the neighbor moved in a dozen roosters. Now, I was in a really peaceful neighborhood beforehand. Then all of a sudden, the next neighbor moved in a dozen roosters. Then the other neighbor moved in 3 or 4 roosters. So now and it's all family. So it's like, the nephew owns a lot next door. The auntie owns a lot behind me. So now all of a sudden, I got these roosters constantly going off multiple times a day. Now, I came here for peace and quiet, and Filipinos are used to it, but we aren't. So it's been, to say the least, an adjustment. It may drive me out of my apartment because, my beautiful apartment that I love. But after 2 years, it's like it's gone from, as my girlfriend says, a nice neighborhood to a very noisy.
Let me get this question. He says, Cal, you said don't engage with dating site women, for more than 2 weeks, but don't we need to check them or vet them? Well, if you're gonna marry them, you're just making the initial trip over here. Okay, you can't vet them online, Cedric. The best way to vet a woman is in person. How you gonna see the 360 degrees of her personality and meet her family? The fruit don't fall too far from the tree. I'm saying don't waste a lot of your time online because you're going to become emotionally connected, and that's going to mean you're going to start peeling off money. You're going to feel obligated to start taking care of somebody you don't even know. The trip is the Philippines. It's not the woman, Cedric. Look, I always remember that, man. We got to learn how to separate the Philippines from the Filipina. It's not all about the woman, guys. I'm telling you. I learned that. It took me a while to learn it, but I know it now. You don't come to the Philippines for a woman, man. If you do, you come to the wrong place. I'm sorry, okay? He said never necessitate spending more than a week checking them. No, it wouldn't, because you're going to be over here. Right. Okay, when you get over here and you see her, you're going to be able to smell her breath. You're going to see whether or not she takes a shower 3 times a day and all of that stuff. You can't do that online. Right. Okay, you just want to meet her online. That's what I'm saying. You're going to waste too much time. You're not going to learn much about her. She's going to put her best foot forward on that dating site. Come on, guys. You got to, I don't want to break it all the way down, but that's what I'm saying. You cannot vet these women online. What's your take on that, Rich, since y'all talk a lot about dating?
Right. Me and Ching are only around each other 3 days a week usually. She'll try to sneak in another day during the weekdays, but usually she'll come out on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and we hang out and spend time together. But I want my time alone because I got to work and I got other stuff I got to do, and I don't want to be distracted. But I think you got to do your own stuff, whether it's go out to some functions, some other foreigners, expats. I do the California expats thing on Wednesday nights. You got to have your own stuff. You can't just stay focused around her and have her be your whole entire life.
Let me get back to this, because Q, man, you got some good questions today. You've been studying, because I said this on the video though. Okay, he says, hell, I would have sued Christian Filipina. When I was on there, they said they would make sure the woman is serious, meaning looking for a partner. But you didn't read the fine print. You gave away all your rights to sue and all that when you signed up for the dating site. The fine print, now Rich is a lawyer. I'm pretty sure they've got liability on top of liability on the dating sites. You ain't going to sue them. But that's what happens. When we check that box, we done gave up a whole lot of help and support for real, and they can't guarantee shit. They just gonna guarantee that they got a woman on there you can talk to online. That's about all they can guarantee. Now let me ask you, Raymond. I want to ask you something, Raymond. Are you still on here? How many women did you? How many women did? Is this your one and only Filipino that you've ever dealt with?
I've been with 2. The first one I was with, it was with Peach's. It was with Peach's friend. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. It was with Peach's friend. Okay, and we went driving, and then she introduced Peach And I started
Mhm.
jiving with Peach. I mean, you can call it what you want, call me wrong, but hey, that's what happened. So I've been two.
But I'm saying, so the first one, were you intimate with the first one?
No,
Really only been with one. So you really only been with one Filipina.
I guess if you look at it like that, right? If you look at it that way,
Yeah. Well, I'm just I was just asking. Hey, what's up, Angelo? Hey, I'm sorry I missed your call. Call me today, man. I want to talk to you. I know you're getting excited about your girlfriend moving to Canada. He had a good situation down in Deville, man. Me and Marilyn, we stayed with him when we had that meet and greet in Deville. Yeah, that meet and greet. Tell him about that meet and greet we had in Deville. It's the best one I've ever had. TJ set it out, man. We had the DJ. We had the, I don't drink, but we had, the bar, open bar. It was all you can drink, free. The food, we're on the 32nd or 33rd, 32nd floor with the infinity pool. It was really nice. He says, I know what you mean, Cal. I was in the DI and nobody spoke English. Yeah, it's crazy. Okay, I know what to do with Rich. Whenever somebody's talking, I think it's on my end. I'm going to have to mute myself. Okay, but let's talk about money now. Yeah, a lot of guys go broke over here. I saw where you make a lot of videos on there. Have you seen anybody go broke, Paul, in Dumageddon? Or you know anybody that's had money problems?
Yeah, all the above. I mean, you got to hold on to your finances really carefully. If you want to give to your girl, again, this is where boundaries and things like that come into play. Yeah, guys will give up the money. It's a slow drip, though. That's the problem. You don't see it. You're giving away pesos at a time, and if you're not paying attention, those dollars add up.
They do.
If you're going to do something, remember it's going to keep climbing as time goes by. So set her up on allowance, set her up for something for the future, et cetera, et cetera. They don't plan ahead, and they have not a good, I don't want to say it, mathematical sense on money. And sometimes they get themselves in all kinds of traps. So you're the end all for the situation. You don't want to be that.
So you're saying after you've been with the woman a while, you've established a relationship as far as setting up for the future and all of that stuff, right?
Yeah, I actually, imagine my girl was 46, now 49, and I had to draw out a budget for her. I mean, and she works in a financial job, so she's in charge of the finances for 25 local schools, but yet personal finances, sort of a little sort of hiccup there. But at least she didn't give it all away through loans against her paychecks and things like that. I mean, amazing that, she told me recently that the average teacher here makes 30 to 32,000 pesos a month, but yet their take home is less than 5,000 pesos because they borrowed against their paycheck so much.
Wow.
That would be considered culture. Now let me ask you, Rich, because you talk to a lot of men, and what is the number one reason that you've come across where we've run into financial trouble overseas?
It's always the same. Same thing. Men lead with their cash. They lead with their money. They don't believe in their character, so they lead with their money. And they're always trying to impress. They come here trying to impress a woman. And I'm a flyer out here. I'm gonna take her to travel there. Why would you do that? I don't understand. I still don't understand. If you were at home, would you be flying someone you just met, or you've been dating for a month? Would you be flying her to this place or that place and doing? But dudes do that here. They do that here. They want to impress them and make them think that there's some kind of dude that they got all this money, and they end up broke. They spend way more money than they actually have just because they're trying to impress women. And I don't understand it. I really don't. But it's always over a woman. Always over a woman.
And one thing dudes do here, and in the beginning, I had to do this. They start thinking in dollars instead of pesos. It's a peso economy over here. If you start thinking in dollars, and you're gonna waste a whole lot of money. That's one thing when I boots on the ground, that's one thing I had to get rid quick. I had to get that right quick. I had to remove that mindset from being in the US dollars. I had to learn that real quick.
Yeah, no doubt.
We overspend on the woman because we bring that American mindset over here. We don't realize what her budget was before we came over here. You know, their budget is very low. Maybe I'm talking about the women y'all meeting on these dating sites. I'm not talking about you, Raymond. You know, your girlfriend is the exception to the exception. Most of the women you dealing with on these dating sites, their budget is from 0 to about 5,000 pesos per month. And you coming over here, you're spending 5,000 pesos a day. And, you know, just more and buying all kind of crazy stuff. And she's never been to TGI Fridays before in her life, and you going every night. She's never been to Boracay. I have never flown on a plane. Y'all doing all this outrageous stuff, you know, like he said, trying to impress the woman, but basically, you don't understand her budget before you got here. You could be saving a lot of that money in your pocket. You could take the woman to Inner South. She'll be happy. Jollibee, if you're happy. But no, we want to take her to Chili's and Texas Roadhouse and all those places. She don't even know what to order on the damn menu, man. I found that out years ago when I stopped doing that. I took my wife, the woman became my wife, my Filipino wife. I took her to Shakey's, which is nothing, you know, for real, but to them it is. And she's just sitting there. I'm like, well, you ever gonna order? She didn't know what to order. She didn't even know what a menu was. So, yeah, we get in trouble, big trouble doing that, you know. And like I said, Maryland still goes to the okay. I took her to the mall one time and spent all that money. Guess what? She never wore any of that stuff.
You're better off taking her to the grocery and then having a romantic dinner at home.
Yeah, Ching still goes to the Ukai store. She just would that's how she's been rocking all these years, and she ain't gonna do different. And I'm not mad at her for it. If that's how she gets down, I'm cool with it. I'm cool.
I go with her. I mean, I got some polo shirts and some Izod. It's funny because the lady sees me coming and she grabs me aside because she's like, I got something for you, sir. Because we're usually a little larger on the size. And the Filipinos aren't going to wear it, you know, all draped all over themselves. They want something, a little skin tight thing, you know. So that extra large is going to be sitting in the back.
Right.
So, it took forever for Peach to allow me to buy her a new band for the smartwatch. She's wearing that old cheap knockoff. It's all raggedy looking. It took forever. I had to take Rich's advice. Rich said, just buy it when she's in the shower or somewhere. Just do it. She would never let me do it. She goes, it's working just fine. I said, but look, it's all raggedy. It's all scratched up. It took forever. I finally had to take your advice, Rich. I said, I'm just gonna buy it. We out in the mall. She's off doing her thing. I just bought it and just said, let me see the thing. And I had to do it that way. Otherwise, it's fine. It's fine. What I got is fine. That's what she'll say. It's okay.
It's too expensive.
Yeah, the thing that burns me up more than anything, like you just said, you took the words out of my mouth. Maryland is too cheap, though. Okay, I'm talking about that, but that's culture. And her culture anyway, I mean, it drives me crazy. You know, like chicken wings, right? You break it apart and you Well, I'm just getting ready to give the chicken bones to the dog. She wants to, are you leaving too much meat on the bones? She wants to eat the damn what's on there. I'm like, this is for the dogs. I mean,
Right.
everything's expensive. And you get to a point where you're like, I just buy it anyway. I don't even ask you. You know, I've sent her to the store to get shit, man. And guess what? She don't come back with it. I'm like, well, where is it? It was too expensive. That's my damn money. Would you go back and buy that again? You know,
Exactly.
it drives me crazy, man.
Peaches like that on tip.
Flag if you take her out to a restaurant. Or she takes you to a
I'm
fancy
giving
place.
away a tip a guy. That's too much. They have a service charge. Why you tipping this much? I mean, when I put the thing out there, right, and shoot, you know, and the thing, and you fold it up. Oh no, she'll take it out. That's too much. You wasting too much. That's too much of a tip. There's a service charge. That's her big thing. There's a service charge.
Welcome, Slick Rick from the that's from Richie Rich's channel. And here
That's my
comes Chang
channel.
on here. I knew Chang was gonna be snooping around. What's up, Chang? Like a detective. Rich ain't saying nothing about you. He said only good stuff about you. He says a lot of Western men come over here thinking the rules, behavior, and social norms from the U.S. still apply, and they don't. Thank you. See, this is where we were talking about. This is the first thing we were talking about, Chang. Culture. This is where we get in trouble. Okay? Exactly where we get in trouble, thinking everything works the same over here as it does at home until it doesn't. But money is one thing that Maryland always wants to know what something costs. Yeah, I paid for it. You don't worry about it. How much does that cost? You know, and how much is this hotel? We'll be in the Airbnb, kick back, relaxing, watching Netflix. Then all of a sudden she'll be like, well, how much did this room cost? Why? You know.
We got it. We're here. Enjoy it. Same thing. We go through the same thing. What Ching got to say now?
Well, I run into that when I take my girl clothes shopping.
Mhm.
Uh-oh, Calvin's muted.
You're muted, Cal. You're muted.
I keep forgetting to go back because I have to mute myself so y'all don't get the echo when y'all speak. But she said, what's considered acceptable or normal in the States isn't always acceptable in countries like the fields. Laws are different, which is we're coming up on the laws next. You're reading my mind, Shane. Cultural expectations, even how you speak to people. Most of us are culturally stupid because we've never been anywhere else. Americans, we travel less than any other industrialized country. Look it up if you don't believe me. Less than 5% of Americans traveled overseas. I'm not talking about the DR, Mexico, and stuff. I'm talking about Europe, Africa, Asia, Southeast Asia. We don't go anywhere. We think everything, we're narrow-minded, man, Americans are, and that's why when we go places, we're the ones who really are the shit starters. They've made the Philippine vlogging community so toxic, man. It's just, and it's all Americans with it. It's nobody else for real. Okay, it's us exclusively. And it just drives me crazy. I'm like, why don't y'all act like y'all been somewhere before? But the fact is, they haven't.
Yeah, that's real. You know, you brought something up. I think last time I checked, it was something like 47% of Americans even have a passport. So if you just take that 47% and then you take the ones who have only been to Canada or only Mexico or the Caribbean, never been anywhere outside to any developed country or Asia or wherever, a lot of people don't know how to act. They literally don't know how to act. So you got people doing it for the first time and they think they can come to a place and act like they do at home, and they find out quick things work different in different places.
Yeah, I think Americans, we watch too many movies and television. Right. And that's what we seem to think when we come to a place, that's how it's going to be. You know, that's why I think it's important for vloggers to be sort of like, not, I don't want to say the gatekeepers, because that's a whole different, you know, position, you know, where you're saying, oh, who gets in, who doesn't. No, we act like a crutch for a lot of people,
Right.
in my opinion. You know, to kind of be the entryway to a lot of these places and say, hey, look, I'm over here. It's okay. You know, you can come over here. They're not going to, you know, shoot you when you get off the plane or whatever.
Reality check.
He said, Calvin, Maryland sounds like my mom when it comes to money. I call my mom the price police. Just tell Maryland she's the price police. Man, it's aggravating to me. I mean, it used to be cute, but now it's gotten to be aggravating because I'm saying, Maryland, you're sending those signals, you're sending that vibe out in the universe. That's going to come back. You can't do that. You know, but she doesn't understand it. One thing I've known since I've moved to the Philippines, and I mean, I really have internalized it, you can't change people. You just got to let them be who they are. That's going to frustrate you more than anything else. Trying to change, you know, people and cultures. Their culture's who they are, man. But yeah, she drives me crazy.
That's all because they're barter.
He said, we Americans are addicted to arguing, complaining. It's tiring. It makes me more introverted. You already know it's the truth, man. It's the truth. If you look at the expat police, the dick watchers, pussy watchers, pocket watchers over here in the Philippines, they're all American. Okay? The morality police are Americans, guys. Y'all watch the same channels I watch. I don't even have to say any names. You know who they are. They coming after you. You shouldn't be doing this. You shouldn't be doing that. And then they use the cringy, you know, words that I can't stand. Exploiting Filipino women. That burns me up more than anything because we're all guilty of that technically, if you really want to get technical about it. But that's who they are. They're Americans, man. You very seldom see anybody else. Most of the trolls over here, American. So, you know, that's just who we are. But let's skip the legal stuff for right now. I want to do something because everybody's dealing with this right now. The family dynamics. Certainly when you're dealing with a woman who's got children. What kind of problems are you know, have you run into, Rich? Are you experiencing?
I'm gonna be really real. Again, it's a different situation. I vetted hard. Cheng told me straight off she has 2 boys. Those are my dudes. Those are my dudes now. But in the beginning, I wasn't trying to hear nothing about dating anybody with 2 kids. So it took me some time to wrap my mind around the idea of being with somebody with 2 kids. And I mean, it took a long time. I mean, we still don't even live together. But those are my dudes now. But her family was very welcoming from day one. But we worked together. We didn't start off dating or nothing like that. We worked together. They knew that she was making videos and she was making some extra money doing it. And they watched our videos and all that stuff. But they never got in our business. Her father said, your business is your business. We'll stay out of it. And her family has been great to me. Never asked me for anything. They've always been welcoming. Her mother cooks me my favorite foods. I mean, I really could not ask for a better situation. But I'm going to say this. I don't think that a lot of guys are going to get the same situation that I'm in.
Okay, let me ask you this then, because Shane's got 2 sons. If there ever came a time, would you cross the line and discipline those boys? Have y'all talked about that? Because I know y'all don't live together, but what do you think the reaction would be? Because this is sort of cultural thing too, but it's family dynamics. Because Marilyn's got 2 daughters. I raise them like my own, but I don't discipline them. If, you know, they never get out of line. Trust me, she's got the greatest kids I've been around, even my own. But if they did, I would give that to her to discipline. That's her job, because I could get in so much trouble over here trying to discipline her kids. Okay, I know I'm paying the bills and everything like that, but once you cross that line, man, that's why you know, family dynamics. You need to, you know, slow down, guys, and think about it. Like he said, do I want to deal with a woman with children?
Right.
And you know, Marilyn, sort of like King, she was single for a long time, so she was in charge. She ran the house. Well, she's having a difficult time relinquishing that responsibility.
It ain't just Maryland.
You know, it causes trouble. I'm just being honest.
It ain't just Maryland. It's not just Maryland. But it is what it is. I mean, like you said, they're used to being the boss, and that's what they know for so long. And it is hard to give that up. And I understand that. But, you know, I think, let me go back and answer your first question about the discipline thing. We sat down and we talked about that. And I personally think that there's so many other ways to discipline kids other than corporal punishment. And I think that there are very, very few small situations where corporal punishment is even needed, required, or anything else. But she told me, look, I'm going to trust you. You have kids, you have older kids, you've been there, you've done it. I'm going to trust you, but we're going to sit down and we'll talk about the punishment. We'll talk about the discipline. And I think that's how it should be. We talk about what's going to go down, how we're going to deal with this situation. And then we dole out the punishment or the discipline how we think is fit. But I don't think there's never been a need for corporal punishment in my situation. Never. They're good kids.
Yeah. Even if you were to say, hey, you know, if you were to put them in their place, you know, because the one thing that we clash is the tone of your voice over here. They think that everything, you know, you're overreacting to everything. So if somebody was, you know, if they get ready to walk in front of a car, you say, hey, you know, what you doing? Stop. You know, look both ways when you cross the street or whatever. You know. Right. I just, you know, you're right. It's a lot more than, I'm not just talking about corporal punishment or discipline. What about you, Paul? Your girlfriend has 2 sons.
Yeah.
How do you handle that?
Well, it's the same kind of situation. I realize that, you know, when it comes down to brass tacks, she's going to be the only, you know, the final word. Case in point, recently, her one son was offered an opportunity to go to an honors school, and it was going to cost her just a few thousand extra pesos. Now, the boy wanted to stay in his regular school because his friends were there. And I kept saying, hey, look, you know, you really need to have this kid go to this wonderful opportunity, this scholarship, this better school, et cetera, et cetera. He'll have so much better advancement potential. Well, guess where he's at? You know, and so you can say anything you want. Here is another one. One of the kids lost a pair of eyeglasses. So I helped pay for the new replacement on the eyeglasses. And she wouldn't give him the new eyeglasses for several months as a punishment. But she had the money all along.
Wow. Okay.
You know, so, you know, when it comes down to brass tacks another time, you know, we were going out on a date, but the boy hadn't told her whether, you know, he had tickets to go back to his internship. So we were going to get our date ruined. And I finally just got the uncle involved. So, you know, you're working within the whole family dynamic, you know. So thankfully I had a good relationship with the uncle. The uncle could look out for the nephew, and I could take the girl out on the date, you know, and we could have our weekend together. You know, it's like you got to become part of it, you know, but at the same token, you realize you are still, you know, just the stepfather or the step boyfriend.
Right.
I mean, but I am part of the family, you know. They, you know, they even have a special chair for me.
You got a chair?
Okay, now one thing I noticed though, and I'm gonna come to you, Raymond, because you're with an older woman, you and Paul, but you know the Philippines is like a matriarch society in a lot of ways. I noticed that women run a lot of stuff over here in the Philippines. You go to the bank, it's usually a woman that's a manager. Whatever, you know, they've even had 2 women presidents over here in the Philippines. Even though you're gonna say that you know women catch hell over here, they run a lot of shit. So even the House. So how do you has that been different? Because like I told you, Maryland, she don't think I know nothing. She don't think I know how to do anything. She don't think I know a whole lot. So she doesn't want my input on a lot of stuff, and it pisses me off. Because I'm saying, look, I was already a member of the United States Navy before you was even born. I was already out of boot camp and already in my first duty station before you was even came down the old, baby canal. But this is something that I run into. They have a problem. But at the same time, I do like the fact that there's clearly defined lines here. The man has his role and the woman has yours. Now, Raymond, you're with a woman. You're with one of the, your woman. I'm not calling her old. I'm just saying she's one of the older, women that a lot of the guys deal with. How does that dynamic work between you and her?
Well, we sat down here and I said, hey, we had to have clear defined boundaries, right? What I asked her what she expect, but she knows what I expect. This ain't, even though I'm paying for this is my condo, but we had to have clear defined roles. And I think that's important when dudes get with a woman, especially getting serious. You have to have clear defined roles. That's so important. Now she was more adjusting to it. She didn't give much pushback, and I expect her to hold her phone in, right? This ain't just Raymond give the money. And she don't really need my money, but hey, I'm still, even though she has her own money, guys, you're gonna still pay. You're still gonna have to pay. We had to clear defined roles. Her role is the spreadsheets, manage the money, keep track of the risk, which she's been great at. I gotta give her props. She's been great at. I never had to ask her one time, where's my receipt? I manage the money. So you have to have clear defined roles. Rich, I don't really like all the hair over here either. I had this look, your hair. What's going on with all the hair? So yeah, I haven't had much pushback as far as that's concerned. Because she had her own. I asked her, what do you expect? Because this is what I expect. I'm not just gonna, do everything. But she's been great. I haven't had a hard time really. Maybe that's because she's been dealing with, her sister's with an expat from Denmark. Like I said, he's been here for over 25 years, but I haven't had much of a pushback. I think it's all about tone too when you're speaking to him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm in a similar situation.
Get this. Let me get this. Miles with me. Thanks for that super chat. Let me rephrase it then. To all three of y'all, give me a brief answer, so everybody can, and we can keep the conversation going. Don't drag it on. What problems are you facing then? Let's go like that. But thanks for the super chat. Let's start with you, Richie. Rich. What any problems have you had dealing with a woman over here or your woman over here?
Communication, just communication clearly for us to understand each other's roles. But the biggest problem has been communication and work ethic. We just have a different idea about what's expected as far as work ethic. But I think we're cool now, but we've definitely struggled. No question about it.
That's huge.
Okay, Raymond, what problems, just briefly now, what problems, if any, have you had dealing with your woman over here?
It's like, I'm going to pick it back off Rich. It's communication. Even though she's highly educated, there's still times like in context, you can't really be careful when you're trying to joke with her because she don't understand the jokes and the context of what we're trying to say. In the beginning, she would say he, she, we say she when it means a he. That was in the beginning. I'm like, when she gets off on this, I kind of learned to interpret what she means. The problem is, in the beginning, she's getting better now. When she starts telling a story of this and that and other, so
Yes.
I mean, that's where I struggled with. But it's communication, and you got to be careful with the tone in which you speak to them too, because they'll interpret your tone a whole different way than
It's
you
true.
may be thinking.
It's true.
Hey, now, but by her being an older woman, is it like, oh, you can't tell me what to do? I'm going to do, I've got my own life to live. I've been living this long without you. Do you run into any kind of problems like that? And that goes for you too, Paul. You can answer after Raymond.
I've never had. I can honestly say I never had that problem. I can honestly say I never had that problem. She never spoke to me in that kind of tone. She's never said that. So I've never had that issue. Nothing like that.
Okay, Paul, what about you? What problems, if any, do you have with your woman?
It's definitely the communication, and it's also the cultural. I mean, it's I basically say this, and I did it with my mom, and it's just women in general. So, what did you hear me say? And then, sometimes she'll become extremely defensive or prideful or just, because she doesn't want to feel like she's sort of put down or corrected. So criticism here is it's almost taken like a personal affront. So you have to be very careful in how you correct things or tell her things that you want. Sometimes, they just think of it as our anger. It's like, you're angry. I'm like, I'm not angry at all. You just got to understand it. And sometimes it's a tonal inflection. This is where you got to be careful about texting, because there is no context. There is no emotion. She will interpret what you say rather than take it the same way that you said it. So we constantly are looking at, what my intent was in how I said it. And I'm trying to be positive about it rather than, because I think it's the same thing with discipline. You have to do it through positive reinforcement rather than negative, because
Absolutely.
everybody's walls go up and that doesn't work. And
Paul,
Yeah.
you dating the same woman?
One thing, though, that I've noticed with Marilyn and some of the women that I've dated, and you touched on it a little bit, accountability. Your boy, if you hold them accountable, they will get upset. And you kind of notice it in society over here. Nobody's really held accountable. Okay, like when, nobody, but a corruption, they've got jails and they've got people in jail, but it's so many people that they're unaccountable for their actions. This is why, because the guy was like, man, your friend, I'll expose that woman. I'm like, for what? She's not going to go to jail. What are they going to do? Embarrass her? Nobody's going to hold her accountable. If they start holding these women accountable who are scamming these men out of their money and sending them to jail and making them pay that money back, I guarantee you that should have stopped tomorrow. But they're never going to hold them accountable. So when you hold your woman accountable, oh man, it gets up underneath their skin. They do not like that, guys. Okay, that's the problem I've had. So you got to be careful in that aspect.
yeah,
Yes.
Cal, let me go back to one step back where you were talking about, when Peach would hear, when Peach is here, she often be listening to the live stream, right? She said, "Why is he so angry?" I said, "He's not angry. That's just his tone. That's just his normal tone. He's not angry." That's what she thought about you at first until she met you, and then things changed. I said, "Hold on, he's not that way. Let's meet him first, and you'll see. That's just the way he is." But in her mind, you're kind of loud to her. That's just her view. And so that's how she took it at first. She understands now, but that's how she took it at first.
Yeah, he said, that's funny, Cal, because my wife thinks I don't know anything either. I mean, it gets to the point where, okay, remember I told y'all we had a mouse or rat in our ceiling. I don't know how he even got in there. They said he might have climbed up the drain. But anyway, she didn't even want me to bring in she didn't think I knew how to bring in the ladder and set it up. She's grabbing it from me. I got it. Let me do it. Anything like that, guys. And sometimes it pisses me off. Well, yeah, sometimes it pisses me off. You know, I'm like, hey, okay, if you want to be the man, let me just pack my stuff and leave, because it sometimes just gets so frustrating. But then I remember it's culture, and I just say, okay, you can have that. It's not worth it. But that's the kind of stuff I deal with, man. I'll be trying to be honest, because everybody wants you to think that they got the perfect relationship. They have the perfect life over here. That's why I have discussions like this. I want people to tell the new man who's coming over here, look, guys, it ain't all peaches and cream. It takes a while to have it all together and to get to a point where you and your woman and your life even has any type of semblance of normalcy over here. It takes a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think, I want to ask the panel here and anybody else, do you think it depends on where your woman comes, if she comes from the province versus a woman who comes from the city? And I say that because they have a maid, she's from the deep province. She ain't got no problem saying or whatever or doing things. When does that matter? Does that matter?
Paul.
Oh yeah, I think so. My girlfriend's from an upper middle class family. They're all college educated. They all have professional degrees. That was one of the reasons, I tell guys half the deal is the woman and the other half is the family. So, a lot of guys will want that provincial woman. They think that's going to be easier. But I think that's also, you're going to have a lot more responsibility. It's like Rich said about, moving in with her, and then me trying to drag her and her two kids away from the family unit. I'm almost better off waiting the 5 years until the youngest finishes college.
Right. But from me,
Let me say this.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Go ahead, Rich.
Okay, for me, I think Ching comes from the city. She's from Mandaluyong, so she was born and raised here. I think it is interesting though, because sometimes you would think she's from the province. She's not really aware of her surroundings or a lot of things going on around her. So I think it took a while for her to kind of catch on and be like, hey, you know what? I know I'm from the city, but this dude kind of brings a lot of experience, information, etc. And maybe it might be good for me to listen to him. But I do think it matters where they come from, Raymond. I do.
Okay, let me read this. This is my buddy Robert Sanford from Houston. He said he's been over here. He stayed in the guest house before. He said, man, I had an incident where we was going to shop for me some clothes, and the things I picked, she didn't like, and basically tried to act like my mother, and she picked my clothes out. I lost it then. And this is another thing that happens over here that guys have a problem with. I'm glad you brought this up. Eventually, she turns into your grandmother or your mother at times, and I don't like it. Like, I want a woman. I already had a mother. It's time to eat. Did you eat? It's time to eat. You're like, look, I'm in here doing something, and you take, it's just funny, man.
It's so true.
Yeah.
I let my girl buy my clothes.
Yeah, in the beginning here, my issue was when I'd have something, when she's here and I have certain things, certain kind of way I have my stuff. Next thing I know, she's over there trying to rearrange my closet over here and changing my clothes. I said, what the? Hold on. Oh, full stop. What are you doing? I got it. A certain, I have the names where I have them set. She's over here trying, rearranging it. Well, I don't like it this way. I said, but this is that your stuff? No.
Yeah, I
There
think
you
that's
go.
women anyway.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Let,
Yeah, we
let
had
me let me ask you guys this, all three of you, because all three of you have a woman. I don't know if this is culturally or not, or as far as in the bedroom, do you see a difference between Filipino women, which is Southeast Asian women, and American women? Are they more, the word around is that Filipinos are more cooperative. I'm going to start with you, Paul, and come down. Is this true, or is this just something that maybe they're doing it because, they don't want to lose us, or,
All the
we,
above.
yeah,
I
but go
think that
ahead.
they're a lot less experienced. They're not exposed to a lot of the things that we see. Even if they see it, they've never experienced it.
Right.
So we have to, be careful, roll a little slower, be a little less pushy. And, as time comes, she'll just blossom like a flower. You push it too hard, too fast, that's going to be a problem.
What about you, Raymond?
They're usually a little shy here. She's not here, so I'm just we just boys here talk. We just men here talking. When I first arrived here, getting off the plane, that's a long, hard thing, right? She, I had this hotel. I'm not gonna get a name. We had this hotel room, is separate beds, right? It's two double beds, whatever you call it. She like sleeping over there and she expects me to sleep on the bed. This was in the beginning, sleep in a different bed. I said, whoa, wait a minute, slow the road here. I did not come over here 8,000 miles, struggling on that dang plane to be sleeping by myself. Now, everybody's different, but that's the way I did, and they're a little bit shy, she is, maybe that's the most, you have to be, she was a little shy at first. It takes a little bit because we had to get to know each other, what each other different, what we like, and all that stuff. But yeah, man, that's one of the things I deal with. She's cool now, but she laughs about it now. That's literally what I told her. I just hope she don't ever watch this live stream. She ain't gonna-
What about you, Rich? What's your experience, and then I'll give mine.
Is there anything about Ching that strikes you as her being shy? Nothing. And this ain't no different. I'm a busy man. I'm a working man. But I'll say this in respect to Ching. I know she's listening, but I'm gonna say it. Ching is gonna get hers. She's gonna get hers. She's gonna find time. The 30 minutes in between I'm dealing with clients, she's gonna get hers. And she makes sure she gets hers. And I respect that about her. No matter what's going on between us, happy, sad, I'm upset. She's whatever. She's still gonna make sure I'm getting mine, and she's gonna get hers. And I respect that. I respect that about her. And she makes sure that I'm fully satisfied, and that one thing I never have to worry about, or she have to worry about, is whether or not I'm satisfied or I'm getting enough.
Yeah. Now, the very first woman that I ever dealt with over here in the Philippines, she was married. She was separated.
Mhm.
And, she said, everything I'm doing for you, I never did for my husband. That's the reason why we're split up. So she sort of like gave me the model of what was to be expected. Now, if you talk, I've never talked to a Filipino man and to ask him, hey, what's going on in that bedroom? But for me, it's always been the green light, whatever I wanted to do. And, it just kind of amazed me because, how certainly black women, man, the black women I've dealt with, they're just too conservative. You got to beg them. I haven't begged since I started coming to the Philippines and started dealing with Filipino women. But a lot of times it's like, you can do whatever you want to me. basically what that comes down to. And, you know, a lot of guys get hooked on that. And that's why a lot of men end up losing their man, losing their money and everything like that because they come over here and they get whipped. I mean, because she figures, well, not all the women, but a lot of the women we deal with, that's really all they're bringing to the table, you know. So she wouldn't dare tell you no. But yeah, it's been a different experience for me. I've probably had every fantasy I've ever had fulfilled over here, except I've never wanted to be with two women. But I'm pretty sure I could have. The woman who I ended up marrying, I was just joking with her one day. I was like, you know, my fantasy has always been to be with two women. And don't you know, she started going around trying to find another woman. I was like, hold on, I'm just joking. You know, so I'm pretty sure that could be fulfilled too. But, you know, that's something that I could say is true. They seem to be more cooperative. Why, I don't know. Are they doing it because you're paying all the bills and they don't want to go back to what they used to be doing? I'm not sure, but I just know I've always had that green light.
Yeah.
What's up, Sam?
I've never had an issue with that. Peach was like really shy, conservative in the beginning, you know. But now I got no issues. But she was really shy, really conservative in the beginning, but I don't got any issues now.
Yeah, but
certainly with the younger women, see, the younger the woman over here, man, the more they're willing to get freaky. You know, and I'm just telling you, I don't know if that's their game plan because Filipinos talk amongst each other. They know what you expect. When I met my son's mother, you know, and we did everything, and then I was like, wow, what's that all about? She was like, well, her friend was dealing with a foreigner. She said, whatever he asked you to do, do it. I was shocked. I was like, what? She said, yeah, she told me that whatever you want to do, just go ahead and do it. And man, was I happy. But they talk amongst each other. We don't. We come over here and try to be sneaky, and that's why guys get in trouble. They'll be contacting me all the way up to the day they get here. And the minute they get here, you don't hear nothing else from them till they get back home. But Sam, what's up, Sam? He said, I wanted to wear matching all black attire. I could not hear the last of how bad luck that is and wanted me to change. Yeah, now that's culture. You know, Filipinos are very superstitious. Man.
Peach got a big deal about me wearing all red. I didn't know that. When I started wearing all red, you know, like this, my red shorts, we going at she we would freak out in the beginning. I'm like, you know, no, you're not that.
Well, you know, you can't eat at a certain time. They don't want you sweeping the floor at a certain time. Once at nighttime, you're not supposed to sweep the floor. And it's just all kind of crazy stuff. You know, even if you go to Siki Hor and you buy that love potion, on the back of it, it says, don't open this when you're going past a cemetery and all this old stuff, right? It's crazy, man. They got some crazy stuff. But he wanted to know, this guy, let me read it real quick because it's Haddon Rich. He said, is there any advice or information you all have for an American graduating from a Philippine school? I'm getting my master's in Cebu. Wanted to ask you during a meet and greet 2 years ago. I don't understand what the question is. I know it's, you know, what do you mean? If you got the right visa, obviously you can go to school here and you'll just have a degree. I mean, I don't understand when you go back to America, depending on what the degree is, I mean, what the job you're seeking, they may want you to take some extra courses. I don't really know what you're asking. You're just going to receive your degree overseas. A lot of people do it.
The number one our students. That's the number one group of expats is students.
Yeah. Now she says it takes some time and patience to get used to American culture, and hopefully Western men will have the same patience to adjust to the culture here too. That's the number one problem we have, Shane. That's the number one struggle me and face living abroad. It's like our way or no way. We just won't be in when it comes to that. It's just a lifetime of learning. You never get that right. I mean, it's just something, it's always something new. You think you got it. Okay, let me ask y'all this real quick before we get off here. I got about 6 minutes. From 1 to 10, how good do you know or how comfortable are you with the Philippine culture? Let's start with you, Rich. From 1 to 10.
Overall, I would say 6, 6.5, 6.5. Yeah. I don't know. We're just different. And so I don't have a lot of Philippine friends or local friends. I'm cool with Ching's family, everybody in Ching's family, but outside of them, I don't have a lot of local friends. I really, really don't. And I just think the cultures are different and they don't clash, but we're different.
Okay, now for you to give yourself such a high score, that's saying that you know a lot about Filipino culture.
I feel like I do. I feel like I get a lot of inside info from Ching and from her family. But I still have a lot to learn. I don't speak the language. But I feel comfortable with the culture. But 6.5, I don't think that's that high though.
Yeah, I think that's high. That's very high to me. Okay, what's one custom or tradition over here? Not that's away from the norm. Not the mono and not that. But name one custom or tradition that you've learned since you've been over here?
A customer tradition. I don't know. To me, just greeting people, but I did that at home though. Just greeting people, saying hello to everybody, smiling, addressing them as Paul or Kuya, or Ate. Just addressing people, putting respect on people's name when I address them.
But if I asked you to name 5, you'd have a problem naming 5. I would
have a huge problem.
And that's why I'm saying you gave yourself a high score, because I'm learning every day. I'm probably a 3, really, because like you said, I'm not around other than Marilyn,
right,
and her family. I'm not around a lot of Filipino people, and every time I go to like an outing or something, I see something else. Like,
right.
They'll drink beer. They'll pour beer over ice. That's something we don't do.
No.
Okay. And then because we should just drink. We don't have to have anything to eat when we drink. They've got, I don't know what they call it, pollutant or whatever they call it, whatever the meal is that they eat while they're drinking. It's always something that you pick up on.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I have to give myself a 3 because I know very little, man. What about you, Raymond?
Well, I can speak the language, so probably like Rich, maybe a 6, 6.5, but that's because I can speak. Let me specify. I can speak Tagalog. I don't know if you take me to your area, Calvin. Yeah, I'd be lost. But everywhere I've been is Tagalog. I can speak Tagalog, so I give myself a 6. One of the things.
Do this for us, Ben. Give us some Tagalog that you know. Speak it.
Speak it?
Yeah, speak it.
I don't want to speak it on here. I'm just real shy about it.
I mean, if you know it, you told me you was fluent with it. I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I thought it was amazing that you could speak it fluently, because you would be one in a million of expats coming over here that are even interested in learning the language. I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I just want you to kind of show out a little bit.
And I don't want to show out, but that's why I'm here. That's why you travel anywhere. I don't know anything about now. So you're always learning over here. You can say six, you can say, I don't know, somebody's an A, but you're always gonna learn over here as an expat. I don't know hardly anything. There's some things I see around here. I don't know everything. You're never gonna stop learning over here, certainly as a foreigner, you know. I didn't know till recent, like to be honest, well, I didn't know till recently when it's getting close to my birthday. Hey, they, you have to pay. You have to give presents. I didn't know until it got closer to my birthday. Hey, and I'm like, wait, wait, it's my birthday, but I gotta pay. I gotta give gifts. Well, okay, let me keep this circle tight. That I gotta because that's another thing. If you don't keep that circle tight, the whole family gonna, uh, I mean, and I had,
The village.
that's I was shocked. I was like, wait a minute, it's my birthday, but I gotta buy everything.
Yeah,
She
now,
wanted
now
them
you
fun
said
things,
something though, but you said something that reminded me. My birthday means something over here. It didn't mean anything really at home. It was just maybe my sister or somebody would call me up and say happy birthday. But over here, they're gonna give you a party, you know, whether you want it or not. And when I mean a party, they're gonna cook you a meal. It's gonna be, they're gonna have everything on there. You can't skip it. They're gonna buy the cake. They're gonna, cook the spaghetti, pancit, the lumpia. Depending if you want to spend on the lechon. All of that is good. They're gonna make a fuss out of it. When hell, I hadn't had a birthday party since I was 6 years old.
No. Now she
What
did
about
give
you,
me
Paul? Where are you?
Oh man, I agree with you. I'm a 3. I've been here 2 years, and it was coming for a couple of years before that. But the more I know, the more I don't know. I mean, and I'm never gonna get fully immersed in the culture. I mean, ironically, the first gift that my girlfriend ever gave me was a big ass book, and it was on Filipino culture. And I still have the book. It was my prized possession because I was amazed at all the different things. And I'm still rereading that book because, so many things we get lost on. I mean, I meet certain people, like an Ate Indian, or, I go to an event, because their family is very traditional or enriched in these, community things, so, I mean, it's like, celebrating church all the time, and all these different holidays. I'm like, oh my God, another damn holiday. What's this one about? I mean, they're celebrating everything, getting dragged to the graveyard for Halloween. I mean, there was one. Oh man, I was almost in tears honoring her relatives. I mean, it's like, you just get more and more as you see, it's like, we're never going to be there. We're just not.
And that makes a good point. It depends on when you're traveling around too. Wherever you're traveling to, you're gonna always learn something. They're gonna have always certain different traditions. Antipolo. There's some over here. When you go to that place, when you go to Puerto Galera, there is something different about there. You got to learn and get adjusted to. Sugar Island, there is a whole another thing too. So it depends a lot too where you're traveling to.
Yeah, I'm shocked that y'all. Nobody said the obvious one: taking your shoes off before you come in the house.
Oh, I got my own slippers just for my girlfriend's house.
Yeah, I'm saying I don't care. And a lot of guys, they don't do that. It takes a while to get used to that because the people's like, that's okay, you don't have to do it. But then after a while, I was like, nah, I better do this because they don't want you. They really believe you're tracking shit from the outside into their house.
They do.
They don't want that. But one thing you said, Raymond, is real true. Before the Spanish came over here, all these islands were separate for real. They only started coming together under the Filipino flag to fight the Spanish. They all had their own language, traditions, customs, religions, food, and all of that. That's why if when Merlin's mother cooks chicken adobo, and if I go to like General Santos or Zamboanga, even Cebu, the chicken adobo is totally different.
Well, they'll fight over Pampered recipe too.
You know what's different here? I've never had the shoe issue, but I knew you're supposed to do it. When I asked Peach about it, I noticed her mom was wearing house shoes. She goes, "You don't take your shoes off." She goes, "Nah, me and my mother, we don't do that." But when my agent comes to the condo or whatever, right? Her shoes is off. Her shoes is right outside this door. And if I was to go out here right now, you'd see shoes all down the hall outside the door, all the way. Literally, everybody shoes outside the door, umbrella or whatever. If it's raining, all of that's outside the door.
Guys, I want to thank y'all for coming on. I'm going to give each of y'all 1 minute, 30 seconds to a minute to give the new man and woman who's interested in coming here. Just give them something, guys. I'm going to start with you, Rich, since you got a channel. You give a lot of information anyway. Give us something, man, that we can chew on about coming to the Philippines.
You said something really important that a lot of the women here, especially if you with a woman who has kids, she's set in her ways and she's used to being the boss. But we're coming here and we expect to be the boss too. So there's going to be a natural headbutt, right? So my thing would be patient, and you have to sit down and work it out. You have to sit down and work it out, but you can't just come in and say, I'm the boss and that's it. You have to prove it. You have to show and prove that you're capable of leading. And if you can do that, she will let you lead. But if you can't prove to her that you're capable of being the leader of a house, don't think she's going to relinquish, like you said, relinquish the leadership role, because she's not going to. But you have to sit down and talk about it, and you're going to have to put some work in. But it'll happen. It'll be all right.
Let me ask you something real quick on that tip. Do you think we're giving something away when we come over here and jump in bed with the woman the first night? Are we giving her power when we do that? What do you think? What's your take on that?
I don't think so. I think if you come here, if you're a quality man and you come here, people are going to want to be with you. I think it's just that simple. If you come here and your pockets are right, your body's right, your mind is right, women are going to want to be with you. I don't care. I don't care what she looks like. You will have a multitude of choices. So I don't think so. I really don't think so. If you're a quality man.
Okay, Raymond, give us something, man, for the new man and woman. You've been over here since May, almost a year. Give us something to chew on.
Mine is not really woman related. My thing is first, have your phone, have your U.S. phone number so you can get the bank codes. My thing is never go to the bank when the bank is not open, because there's been guys getting over corners getting jumped at the ATM machine, right? So I don't never go to the bank and the bank is open. Always go to, if you got to go to the bank at night, go inside the mall. Always be careful where you're going. You know, that's what I would say. Don't come, going places like that, I'm not a bar guy, so, but don't be careful where you're using an ATM machine at, because they're literally scanners. If you go to these sketchy places, they can put those scanners in there that can, duplicate your card. You can get a blank card, and then they got your money. That's not going to happen if you go to BPI or, one of the big banks out during the daylight when the security guards are there. So I feel safe. And I don't never go. And if I got to go at night, I go inside the mall, but I don't never go when the bank is closed. That'd be my thing. Because the machine could chew your card up. The bank's closed. If the machine eats your card, you effed. But that's
great information, man, because we very seldom talk about little stuff like that. We just take for granted that it works the same way over here, but he's telling the truth. There's a gang of Eastern European gypsies that are just tearing the Philippines up with that, with those ATM machines. Certainly, if you're in a tourist area, man, be careful using those ATM machines. They're skimming the hell out of them. One guy, I guess he just got greedy. He was caught. In one day, he already had like over $7,000 worth of pesos, where he was going around skimming the machines. He just got greedy, and they called on to him, and they end up catching him. But yeah, thanks, Raymond. I appreciate that. Okay, Paul, give us something.
Well, most of all, it changed my life that first visit. I knew right then and there, within the first 2 weeks, that I wanted to move here. So I'd say, number one, come with lower expectations, do your research, get your finances in order, have many alternates, a choice on different bank cards, choice on different kinds of phones. I got both an American phone and a Philippine phone. Do as much research as possible, but protect yourself because you're walking into a situation. So don't drink. Or if you do, be careful. Same thing. Don't do the drugs. Keep your drink to yourself. Just have some street smarts and some savvy. And you're the number one priority. Because if, like that poor guy you were talking about, he's going to go back, either, not come back, or he's going to have a sour taste for a lot of money that he spent. Whereas me, I met, what ended up being a good guy, rented a motorcycle, traveled to different islands, had a blast, met different women from different towns because I only made them my friends. And if I needed something, there's always pay to play, if you know what I'm saying. So, keep it tucked in there. If you're going to slip it, realize that, you might be getting into a relationship without knowing it. So just, enjoy the scenery, enjoy the country, soak it in. Have fun, try the different foods, try the different locales. Every place here is different, but it's like, you see $1 million view and the guy's got a little wood shack, but he's having the good life and he's enjoying it.
Thanks, Paul. I appreciate all you guys. It's almost like American Express as far as your common sense. Don't leave home without it, guys. You need your common sense. The same thing that's carried us, because guys, I see guys come over here, they've owned businesses, they've worked at the post office 40 years, they've retired on the military, they come over here and they get rolled. It's like, man, you were so successful there, how could you come over here and get so messed up? It's because they leave their common sense at home. Trust your 6 cents or your 7 cents or 8 cents. Trust your gut, man. If it don't feel right, get the hell out of there. Don't overlook the red flags, guys. They're blurring over here. They're flashing red lights over here. But if all you're focused on is that woman and that, they call it panay pie, you're going to be in trouble. Because the red flags, you can see, if a woman shows up at the airport with her mother and wants to spend the whole 2 weeks, she wants the mother to spend the whole 2 weeks with y'all, you got to throw her back in. You got to say, okay, I'm sorry, I made the wrong mistake. You can't change people over here, guys. But I appreciate my panel today, man. It was pretty interesting. Everybody had some good stuff to say. Thank y'all so much for your super chat, super stickers, all your thumbs up for Sunshine Shoulders. My saying is this. For 2 weeks, the Philippines is as good as it gets. I put it up there with anybody. For 2 weeks, if you come over on vacation, it's an amazing place. Now, once you transition to an expat, it's a whole different story. And then certainly when you want to be a vlogger, it's a whole different story. But on vacation, man, I put it up there with anywhere I've ever been. I've been around the world. So take care, y'all. I'll see y'all later. Thank y'all again, guys.
Cal.
Take care. Take care. Thanks, Carol.